My name is Kaarina Efraim. I am curator for archaeology at the National Museum of Namibia. And today I am presenting on conservation and management of rock art sites, a case study of the Brandberg Mountain. A disclaimer, I'm supposed to be doing this presentation with Henry Nakale, and he's supposed to speak on the management of the rock arts of the Brandberg, and I'm supposed to touch on the conservation issues, and he's not here with us. He couldn't make it. So I'm going to take a 10. I am going to switch it up when it comes to the issues of conservation, integrating it with my PhD topic, which is looking at the impact of mining on archaeological landscape, supervised by Dr. Ndikuyake Ndlovu behind there, and or with the University of Pretoria. Two things. One, Mr. Morocco spoke earlier about United Front. So Team Namibia, I am counting on you before I even start. So when it comes to the questions, I trust you to back me up. Two, my academic father is here, like I said. So, like I said, I am going to integrate my conservation issues with my PhD topic. I just hope he's not going to mark me already. And earlier on, he mentioned that we should be careful of the words that we use when we are presenting or when we are outlining issues of archaeology and heritage. So I'm going to try my best to say almost the perfect word so he doesn't do things when it's time. Okay, I'm gonna get to it now. I am a little bit lucky this afternoon because then there was the first presentation by Ugo this morning that basically outlined a lot about the Brandberg. So I'm probably going to skip some of the slides because he already touched on some of the issues, or I'm just going to run through them. Then I proceed with some of the things that he haven't spoken about. So the introduction. Here I just have a map of the Brandberg, which is outlining where Namibia is on the African map, and also where the Brandberg is on the Namibian map, and the mountain itself. The Brandberg Mountain is the highest mountain and a home to significant rock arts in Southern Africa that we already know, and that was outlined by Ugo. Now, despite the cultural values of the Brandberg site, the site is also facing threats, just like any other site in Southern Africa, or actually anywhere else in the world, which includes natural erosions and other human interferences, including mining. And that's what I'm going to focus on today. There I'm having the picture of the mountain itself, and on the other side I'm having the picture of our famous white lady that Ugo spoke about, and it was also given as an example by other speakers when they spoke this morning and even this afternoon. In it now, Brandberg Mountain and mining. The mountain was declared as a national monument or a national heritage site in in 1951, and the mountain is now faced with a dilemma where it's a mixture of cultural resources and also mineral resources that are found in the same area. Now, as a national monument area, this is a result of volcanical activities that happened way back, and that's what led to the landscape containing mineral riches in rare earth elements. This has attracted the interest of exploration and mining activity for a lot of years, and is still happening until today. The mountain is located about 30 kilometers from a small town called Uis, and Uis is well known as a mining town because back in the years, until now, but it's not as intensive as it used to be, they have been mining tin in Uis. The mine still exists, but it's not fully operational as it used to be. So this small town is very close, or it's about 30 kilometers from the Brandberg. Given the national heritage status now of the mountain, all mining activities have been withdrawn from the area upon when it was declared. The mountain is officially designated as a protected area under the National Heritage Council. So it's under the management of the National Council, and they are the ones dealing with the management issues of the site. A disclaimer, currently there is no legal mining happening on the mountain, but there are a couple of licenses around the mountain. Again, not on the mountain, but these licenses are around the mountain. So on the next slide, I have then a map that is showing the applications of mining rights around the mountain. As in, these are all the applications, both active and non-active ones. Then on the next slide, this one I'm having the active mining rights. So if I have to compare the two, as you can see, applications, they are actually a lot of them around, but not all those applications are currently active, or not all of them are having mining taking place as we speak. I am speaking now on the issue of small-scale mining. Just few kilometers from the mountain, or from Uis, there is a camp. It's called Hobo-Hobos, and this Hobo-Hobos, it's a camp for small-scale miners that are mining in the Hobo-Hobos mountains. Now, these mountains are very close to the Brandberg. And apart from the Hobo-Hobos, around the mountain itself, like I mentioned already, the mountain is near Uis, and Uis was a mining town. They were mining tin. And just behind, or at the western of Brandberg, there is Brandberg West Mine. And on the other side, again, there is then the Hobo-Hobos. So we can also clearly see how the mountain is between a lot of mining activities happening. And with the small-scale mining, or the Hobo-Hobos, I am not saying these small-scale miners are mining on the Brandberg, but there is a possibility that maybe sometimes these small-scale miners, either the ones from Hobo-Hobos or any other small-scale mining from the area, they do go on the mountain to go do some small-scale mining. I'm gonna skip a couple of slides so I get to this one. Now, the challenges with this mountain is that the mountain is huge in size. And I think, like Ugo said earlier on, the site have other gorges and other sites, but then it's known for the White Lady. But then I think it's a little bit small, the scale, but you can see that the dots are showing or indicating the number of figures, where the hot water holes are, and it's also showing where the White Lady is. The White Lady up there, the dotted black, and then we are having, or I'm having, different other colors that are showing the concentration or the paintings. So basically almost all of it, especially on the other side, there is a lot of sites or a lot of figures of paintings, which makes it a little bit hard to control, especially given the site or the size of the mountain. Going back to this slide now. The reason why I showed the other slide first, or the map first, is because then I am going to talk about now the conservation challenges related to mining, given the Brandberg Mountain. The size, like I said, the size and complexity of the area, the mountain is then too big, and it's having about 1,000 documented rock art sites and over 50,000 individual rock art figures. I am mentioning this figure also because there was a comment made behind that when Mr. Mate was presenting that we should give figures. This actually I quickly inserted in after that comment was made, just so we have figures and we know what we're talking about. The other challenge is institutional capacity, as in limited number of the colleagues that are employed at the National Heritage Council. Given the size, as we can all see, or as we saw, the mountain is huge to be monitored by the number of people that are employed either on the site or even the ones that are based at the head office, making it a little bit difficult to patrol and to monitor and to go in the mountain, because there are actually sites that are very difficult to access. Maybe that's also one of the reasons why tourism happens a lot at the Brandberg site, because it's closer and a lot of people are able to access that site and they don't really go into the other sites because of how complex it is to extend to those gorges with beautiful, beautiful paintings. Mining is also another issue, but then this one is a little bit tricky because then, like I explained, the mountain is surrounded by all this mining that took place in the past. Some mines, I think the Brandberg West mine, last time I went there, which was in 2023, it was not fully operational. There was actually nobody on the mine. I don't know if it's operational now or not. Some they have closed down. But then given the fact that the mountain is surrounded by a lot of mining, and like I said, Uis is a mining town. Most of the people that flocked into Uis came from other parts of Namibia, but some of them are originally from Uis. They regarded this area as a site for mining, and it became like a cultural practice for the people that live in the area to survive on this small-scale mining especially. So as a cultural practice in the area, some local community members regard the mountain as part of their cultural landscape. And I'm so happy to speak about this landscape, because yesterday already the second presentation was speaking on landscape, and today I think we had about 4 presentations just speaking on rock arts, heritage, and the landscape. So this part of the region, Erongo, and this part of the mountain, people that live there, especially the people that are originally from there, they regard this landscape as their own cultural landscape and believe that they have right. And that's fair, because in every community, where you come from, you are having rights to everything around you. And this also applies to the people that are living in this area or around the mountain. And this includes the small-scale miners. And they traditionally rely on this mining for as a way of life or for income, or just, like I said, it became part of them. And this creates now tension between this protected site now, which is managed and protected and under the National Heritage Council, and the community that lives in that area. Because then this is, the dilemma is between the community, the people, and the institution that is protecting the site, or the sister institution that are for heritage conservation and preserving this cultural heritage to go on. Now, the risks of mining on rock arts, focusing on the Brandberg, but also just anywhere else in Namibia or any other part of Southern Africa or in the world, when there is when there is blasting happening, sorry, I just learned that I only have 5 minutes left. When there is blasting happening, this is causing then the rocks perhaps to move, and this is trouble for rock arts. Then the issue of dust, it doesn't have to be mining specifically on the mountain, or it doesn't have to be small scale miners digging holes. It can just be also when they are doing the activities, even if they are not destroying or cutting through a rock to destroy this rock arts, it can be the dust that is coming from mining. If it's maybe even a kilo or 2 or 3 from the mountain, this can also play or cause damage to the rock art. And the new roads that are being created for mining, obviously sometimes, most of the time, the mines don't only have one road. They create a lot of roads which also just bring unauthorized visitors to the site, and this might cause harm to the site. I already spoke about this slide, and I'm just having proposed solution, and most of them actually they were already outlined by Mr. Mate for the site that he presented. It's strengthening monitoring and patrolling around the mountain, which is going to be very hard because given the capacity and given the size of the mountain, it's really going to take us as Namibian a long time to get to a point where we can fully cover this mountain, which is also, I don't think it's possible. And strictly enforcing buffer zones for buffer zone and stopping illegal mining. There is legal mining and illegal mining. Like I explained, there is licenses that are given for mining, but then illegal mining comes with especially small scale miners that are not given claims to mine on. And this is what I'm speaking about here to stop it. Like I said, it's going to be very tricky because especially people from the area, they are having this mining as a lifestyle and as a cultural practice. So it's almost like how Mr. Tembe, if I got it correct, spoke about, he went to call the police, and actually when he came back, his name was on the tree. So we might do some of the measures to stop these traditional mining or small scale miners, but it's their way of life and it might just backfire. Also engaging in training of local communities on the importance of conservation and protection of the mountain to reduce the tension between the cultural use of the mountain and the heritage conservation regulation. But then with this one, it's not that the communities are not aware. It's not that they don't know what the paintings are or the heritage is. They do know because they practice these things. Earlier on, a presenter said they use them for rituals. They use the mountain for maybe interacting with their ancestors or just as a way of life. So they are basically aware of these archaeological and heritage resources that we have, but we should probably try to work together to engage more in training on the issues of conservation and how we can keep this site to, or sites to last us longer. And then the second last one will be the digital documentation of rock art sites, because then the sites are already documented. That's how we know that we are having around 1,000 sites and 40 to 50 sites or figures, but then we should maybe invest in digital documenting of this rock art. That will also help with when they faint and they can't be restored anymore. And then I put the question of restoration because we spoke about it yesterday. That it's then an ongoing debate that should we look into restoring, or should we rather just let them faint? Because a while ago, Dr. Ndlovu said heritage, if we are restoring, and then there is the issue of authenticity. Is it ours? Is it something that we can look into so that we restore these rock arts? Or we should just let them fade away and probably create new ones. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your presentation. You had 3 seconds left. Perfect timing.
Almost gone.
I'm sure your Namibian counterparts will be more than willing to assist you with any questions.
Maybe you can also ask.
So if I may ask the room if there are any questions for Kaarina. We have 1, 2.
Thank you so much. If you can perhaps come back to the slide of the conclusion about the recommendation. I just would like to suggest perhaps 2 other points that perhaps you can comment. What about to have also another kind of zoning and, to decide that, okay, this area, which is very important in terms of semi-precious stones, okay, so let's say it is for small-scale miners. Because as we have seen in Roborobos or in Uis or in Tubusis, it's very, very poor people that really need this kind of incomes. So to stop small-scale mining, I think that's not possible because they really need this income. Without that, they can't survive. So first thing, so to think differently about zoning and to accept that one part it's not possible to protect because they also need to live from the mountains. And another way, perhaps, to involve local people in heritage tourism or in tourism, that they can have incomes from the mountains, but different kind of incomes, not coming from semi-precious stones, but coming from tourism. But as we have seen also this morning with Hugo, local communities, they are not involved as guides. So how it can make sense for them to see these mountains out of their life and to be stopped and to be forbidden to go there if they are not involved in this kind of process.
Those are more of additions than questions. Okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you, Kaarina. I imagine you were expecting my questions. Was there any, I'm asking actually all the Namibian colleagues right now, but was there any kind of attempt to communicate with the small miners from the NHC side? Because I mean, from what I know, the Brandberg is on the verge to become a World Heritage Site. I mean, there's a UNESCO listing on the way. There's been several discussions. The small-scale mining issue is raised to the front. So is there other possibilities than just turning the Brandberg into a stronghold, like with all the gorges inaccessible, with huge patrols? Because you've got, I mean, this example that's just like 100, I mean, like 50 kilometers on the east side, which is the Erongo Mountains, and you've got these same problems with, you know, paintings, small-scale miners, farmers, and the whole situation coming into a huge conflict with lots of guns and violence. So is there another possibility with discussion?
I am pushing it over now to my counterparts that work for the NHC.
Thank you on behalf of Team Namibia. Yes, I work for the National Heritage Council, which is the managing authority for the Brandberg Monument area. There has been several engagement with members of the local community, especially the small-scale miners. I think also just linking to what Melanie asked earlier on, there are certain areas like the hobos that was illustrated there, which are specifically also, you know, demarcated for members of the communities to do their mining there. And there is even a department in the Ministry of Mines that normally even help with funding opportunities to enable these small-scale miners to make livelihood out of this. But of course, the issue of illegal mining on the mountain still persists. That is also number one, due to the market. There is a market for semi-precious stone, and also the closer accessibility to the mountain as opposed to the Hobos area, which is just also several kilometers away from the mountain. It is an ongoing issue. It is not something which we can say for now. We have brought it to a complete halt because about last month when we were doing the photography documentation for the World Heritage nomination dossier, that expedition actually resulted in the arrest of about 15 people on that specific day on the mountain. But then it's an ongoing effort with the Namibian police force and also other members of the stakeholders to ensure that we keep issues related to small-scale mining. Yeah, but it is an ongoing threat. We recognize that as a state party, and we're just doing our best to ensure that we somehow keep the situation. Yeah.
Thank you, Agnes.
Yes, so mine is on the two laws, the one on the heritage protection and also the mining. Of course, you haven't talked about the Mining Act. So which supersedes the other in terms of protection and also mining? So the areas where people are mining, I know some of it has mentioned that is demarcated for specifically for mining, but is it under the monument boundary or is it outside the monument boundary? Because the challenge with mining is that more people keep on coming, and most people who come to mine in such areas actually are coming from outside. In most cases, they're not even within the community. So if you don't control it now, you find that it becomes unmanageable. So in terms of law, when they're arrested, what happens? We had this situation back home. The moment they started jailing them, I think they jailed about 6 for 2 years imprisonment for damaging heritage. And people stopped because they knew that now once you were caught, you'll be arrested. So I don't know the situation in Namibia. Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to just, while she's getting to Agnes again to answer that, I'm probably just going to lean on what Melanie said, because then, like she said, it's a little bit tricky. Now we stop the show on the mining. Like Agnes said, there's hobos, which is actually given for small scale miners. The ministry assists even with fundings for these EIAs and the heritage impact assessment so that these small scale miners can mine as a way of life. But then, like she said a while ago, Melanie said, these people don't have any other way to survive, which is also making it difficult once you cut off. But I'm giving it to Agnes now to probably explain the legal implications after the arrest.
Yeah, no, thank you very much again. In terms of the law, our Mineral Act actually supersede the National Heritage Act. But then it is the same ministry which then has the responsibility of withdrawing all heritage sites from mining activities. And this is the case where the Ministry of Mines has withdrawn Brandberg for all heritage from all mineral activities. And that is the reason why, mineral and exploration licenses. And that is the reason why the kind of mining that is happening on the property is rather illegal. And also where we have a problem is now the area where we then consider as an additional layer of protection when we are doing the World Heritage listing, in terms of which we would then want to classify as a buffer zone, but that also we are in the moment at a very advanced level to ensure that that also then become withdrawn property from the mining activities, and all those ones that will be then be found in contradiction of the law will be then dealt with by the law. Yeah. But then in terms of, we have a fine of about 100,000 or 5 years in prison, because when somebody is found on the property, it is not just then also issue of mining, then they are also charged in terms of trespassing, in terms of the National Heritage Act, but then also in terms of conducting work without permit on the heritage property. So then it's those 3 aspects that applies.
Thanks, Kaarina. You've already started to answer actually my question, which is quite simple. What do you expect from the World Heritage listing in terms of preservation, more to what already exists?
It's a very interesting one. But then what we would expect really from World Heritage listing, it's really just to profile Namibia in terms of the listing on the World Heritage list in terms of representativeness. That is number one. But number two, we also want to attract funding in terms of conservation, because as you might be aware that most of the funding, especially from international bodies, are attached with this World Heritage listing. And we believe that this would also strengthen conservation measures. But then also with us, we have really a very good case study where Tweefontein is the most visited, or at least until 5 years ago. By statistics, it was the most visited rock art site in Southern Africa, attracting up to 70,000 visitors a year. And at Brandberg, we're currently standing at 19. So we also really hope to capitalize on this World Heritage listing, which will then obviously result in a sort of multiplier effect in terms of sustainable tourism, and especially for the communities that are around and around the property. Thank you. I hope I have tried to answer.
One more question here in the front.
Thanks. I just want to come back to this issue about, local people mining, but not just mining. When you've got such poor communities, they don't have the luxury of deciding whether or not they're going to preserve or look after rock art because they've got to feed their children and such and such. And it's not just mining. I think around a lot of heritage areas or whatever, when you've got country, when you look in Southern Africa, South Africa, Namibia, whatever, you have so many poor people. I think a lot of the issues arise out of poverty. And until you look at the broader picture of what can you do for the broader population in terms of poverty, you're always going to have these issues in one way or another. And it makes me think that, I love these conferences, but we're heritage workers, rock art workers, some anthropologists, and maybe we really need to be thinking about engaging broader government departments, or because we can't solve all the issues of development and poverty within the countries, but these are what needs to be addressed in order for these local people to revere their rock art. Maybe they would love to, but they just can't. They don't have that luxury. So I think really looking at the broader issues and it is essential. I don't think heritage workers and anthropologists or whatever, archaeologists can actually address a lot of these issues. And even even government bodies that work in heritage, I mean, I think they really struggle. And as you say, in Namibia, the Minerals Act supersedes, so I think, just to say, maybe I think we need to start looking at the bigger picture.
Is there any other question or comment? Otherwise, this will be the last question.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Kaarina, for a wonderful presentation. Mine is just a comment to everyone here. It's coming from a point of a privileged person. It's easy to impose rules and regulations. And picking up from the presentations that have been presented so far, we are here talking in a point of a privilege where we are employed and we understand rock art in a certain perspective, and we impose this narrative to the locals and we try to make them understand in our own mindset as researchers, as heritage practitioners, and as heritage custodians. without even trying to understand how the locals view their own heritage. And that is why probably we are faced with issues of vandalism, issues of resistance in that way, because in their mind, we're still perpetuating the things that were done by colonials, restricting them from their, what is this? Their place of origin. And we are still perpetuating that idea to them. And we expect them to be on par with us as heritage practitioners, to say, this is your heritage, take care of it. But do they relate in our sense? Do they understand what we are trying to teach them? To understand, and are we willing to listen to their views as well as locals? Do they see the heritage that we perceive as heritage to them? So I think maybe as we are gathered here and we are talking as professionals, we need to understand the mindset of our, what we deem locals, you know, the people who haven't really studied the rock art or haven't really had the privilege to know the information that we know. That's what I'm imposing, because we are so keen to put things like a World Heritage Site. You know, what does it bring to the locals? What value does it bring to the locals when we are pushing those narratives like it's a World Heritage Site? Economic value. Right now, people are not employed, and we are busy pushing things of a World Heritage Site. What does it mean to them? So those are things that we need to understand, or we need to discuss as heritage practitioners. And when we go out there, what are we presenting to our locals?
Thank you so much for the comment. Okay.
Yes, all I want to say, thanks for saying that. All I want to say is also the term local community is a very complex one, especially in that case. I mean, there was movements of population, like, I mean, you're pretty much aware of apartheid in Namibia, lots of displacement of population, and some of them arrived in the 70s, actually. So can we actually talk about local people, even though they actually never saw the painting? I mean, most of them. And secondly, the people from Hobos, most of them are not local, the miners we're talking about. They're coming from all around the country. So it makes the case even more complicated. So coining these rock art as their heritage is another issue.